All right, Larry Kruger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video as we recap Niners Chargers preseason game number 3. And of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. All right, let's get into the film review of Niners Chargers. And it was not one for the ages by any stretch. It was hardly a classic. It was preseason game number 4. It was a throwaway game in on a lot of fronts. It was a very sloppy game. There were 6 combined turnovers and 23 combined penalties. But let's just go into just some of the themes that were takeaway themes from this thing. I thought this was the best I've seen from Tanner Mordecai. And if it really is a competition, I think Tanner Mordecai ought to be the 49ers' third quarterback. He's got mobility that Bradley doesn't have. Now, both quarterbacks were dinged up in the game, so we'll see how they physically emerge. I expect the Niners to cut both Bradley and Mordecai. But if it was one guy to be put back on the practice squad, I think I'd lean towards Mordecai. I think they will lean towards Bradley because of the presence of Gus Bradley, but I'd lean with Mordecai. He's got better speed. He showed some fire. He led scoring drives. He's been in the offense longer. He knows it better. The mobility that he has. We're talking about a guy who's got a really good arm and 4.4 speed and experience in the offense. And he made some nice plays. He made more plays than Bradley, and he looked much better than Bradley. I thought Mordecai really was one of the positives of the game. He hit Farrell on one pass play. It was really nice. He had a perfect dime to Demarcus Robinson for a touchdown on 2nd and 9 from the 22 on just a corner route. Hit him in the front corner of the end zone, give the Niners a 6-0 lead. What I love about Tanner Mordecai, in addition to the 4.4 speed, the guy rips it. He lets it go. He was throwing some lasers. I mean, it was a 22-yard absolute laser. So I really liked what I saw from Tanner Mordecai. And if it came down to Mordecai or Bradley, I'd go with Mordecai. I just thought Mordecai made more plays in this game, and he's got, both of them have really good arms. Both of them kind of throw a flat pass. Both of them are developmental type quarterbacks. You're not gonna just rue the day you cut either guy. It's not like either guy I think is a superstar, but I just think Tanner, with the mobility that he has and the arm strength, I think he's better. And I would definitely go. And the question, I guess, like coming out of this game, is Carter Bradley hurt? He seemed to be limping around. That was one. The other one coming out of this game is Isaac Guerrero hurt. It seemed like he was favoring that shoulder. They put him out there with a shoulder that was less than 100%. I'm not sure why, but they did, and he seemed to hurt it more. So I thought that was one other takeaway from this thing. I thought it was a really good game for Darrell Luter. Darrell Luter ran stride for stride down the sidelines with Lambert Smith. Lambert Smith has 4.3 speed. He had a PBU on Lambert Smith. He had a couple good run stops. I thought this was a really good performance from Darrell Luter. I mean, look at Darrell Luter, 5th-round pick, long arms, played a lot of press man. He is the physical prototype for what you're looking for at corner. You can't cut Darrell Luter. So they got to somehow figure out a way to squeeze him onto the roster somehow, some way. He's too good to cut. He's just too good to cut. He had a number of good plays. He had a special teams tackle. I thought this was easily far and away the best game for Darrell Luter. And then mix in the fact that Jacob Robinson has a broken forearm, and I think that really bodes well for Luter's chances. I did like the way that Saron Neal stood up on the corner in the second half of this game, and Neal's obviously guaranteed a roster spot because of what he contributes on special teams. Another takeaway from this thing, man, Jake Moody is shaky. I mean, it's just no way around it. He's shaky. He missed a PAT. He yanked it left. When he misses, he tends to miss left, and he yanked it left. But then he also had a kickoff that went out of bounds that gave the Chargers a drive start at the 40-yard line. You can't do that. So, I mean, he's just shaky. I'm not saying they got to replace him, but he's shaky. And everybody knows it. The fans know it. The media knows it. Everybody except for the 49ers seems to notice that Jake is very, very shaky. I think I'll put it at that. His confidence is not tight or not. He's not the most confident guy. Let's hope for the best. But to say he's anything but shaky coming into this year, I think is missing the story. I was looking for Sebastian Valdez to show what he had in this game, and he did. Valdez definitely put himself on the roster with his performance. He was really strong versus a double team. Excellent bull rush. This guy can win with power and he can win with speed, and you forget that sometimes. I thought he really looked good. I thought Valdez made a name for himself. I think he's going to make this roster. Couple other things. The 49ers in the first half of this game offensively only had 68 total yards and went 1 for 7 on third down conversions. Chargers led 13-6 at halftime. In the second half, Nick Martin came alive. By the way, Chaz Surratt had 10 tackles in the first half. Only thing I'll say about Surratt, he's a developmental linebacker. Almost every single play that I saw Chaz Surratt make was 3 or 4 or 5 yards down the field. So, sometimes the box score lies, and I think, the box score of this game lies. It shows that Surratt had 11 tackles, and he did have 11 tackles, so that's not a lie. But where those tackles come, he doesn't make tackles out of his area. He doesn't make tackles in the backfield. He's not like a Nick Martin. He's not a special player. He's a developmental guy who doesn't see it. He's a good athlete, and he made 11 tackles in this game. But as I said, at least 8 or 9 of them were 4 or 5 yards down the field. So I want to put, I want to make sure that we note that. Nick Martin is a freaking star. I mean, he's led the Niners in tackles in the preseason. He's just a fantastic player. He's got unbelievable range and power and speed, and he's awesome. He had a forced fumble, put the right shoulder on the ball, popped it out. Evan Anderson popped on it for the fumble recovery. It was great to see the big man get on the fumble. But, yeah, Nick Martin was awesome. Nick Martin is awesome. I think Nick Martin's going to be the best player in this draft from the Niners' perspective that they drafted. He looks absolutely fantastic. So the lasers of Tanner Mordecai, that stood out. But the great bounce back game of Darrell Luter, that stood out. But Nick Martin, I mean, I'm joking with Copeland in the Cambiar pregame. All roads lead back to Nick Martin, but he's just damn good. I mean, it's just that simple as that. So Valdez had a really good second half. I thought William Bradley King flashed some pass rush talent. He had a couple reps that made me say, you might want to put that guy on the practice squad. Now, he's not going to make the roster. But I absolutely would put him on the practice squad. There were another guy who I thought was fantastic and is going to make the roster is Trevis Gibson. He had a sack that was negated by a penalty. He made some really good plays against the run. Trevis Gibson is going to make this roster. Number 56 was flying around and really, really looking good. A guy who's not going to make this roster is Junior Bergen. The muffed punt, that was the final nail in the coffin. So Junior Bergen does not make this roster, and unfortunate for him the way it ended. Couple guys to keep note of on the Chargers side. And by the way, Curtis Robinson with a pick 6. I don't know if he'll make the roster. He might be a special teamer, but man, I love Curtis Robinson. What a great guy he is. And hopefully he'll find his way onto some practice squad with the Niners, some practice squad role. I don't think I'd make him one of my top linebackers right now. He's still kind of working his way back from the injury, but I would have him as a depth piece on the practice squad. Now, there were 3 Chargers that also stood out. There were a couple guys that I went into the game looking at. One was Brendan Rice, and I just didn't think Brendan Rice really stood out. To me, there's just no special traits there. But the Chargers do have 3 guys that I think are really interesting. One, if you're a fantasy football fan, Raheem Sanders, you may want, this is going to be one of the better running football teams. And yes, they have Najee. And yes, they have Amarion Hampton. And there's other backs here. But Raheem Sanders is big and fast, 225 pounds. He comes out of South Carolina. Due to injuries at some point, Raheem Sanders could be one of the best fantasy backs later in the year, because this is a great running football team. They're going to run it a lot. This kid's got power. He's got speed. If there's a couple injuries, he could easily wind up being a very, very good fantasy player. So just remember that if you're one of these fantasy football sleeper stash guys, Raheem Sanders is a great stash for the Chargers. Two guys on the Chargers that I'd love the 49ers to pick up at the deadline. One is Trickweez Bridges, the corner who's 6'3" with 4.3 speed. 49ers, could definitely use another corner, and the Chargers have great depth at the corner, and this former Florida Gator had a very good preseason, Trickweez Bridges, and he's a great athlete. That's a guy that I would absolutely pick off waivers. And the guy who I absolutely think is the guy that I would, try to create room for if I were the 49ers. I love what I've seen this summer from Marlowe Wax, the Syracuse linebacker. Really looked good. I mean, this guy had a forced fumble, and just on the sack of Bradley. He had the strip sack of Bradley. Marlowe Wax has had a really, really good summer. Now he's a phenomenal athlete, is what he is, and he's one of those raw linebackers. But you know what? You would not regret having this guy on your team. He's not going to make the Chargers team. I mean, I think I would call a Harbaugh and Ortiz and just make an offer and add this guy. This guy is a great athlete. He's the kind of violent linebacker that you want. Create room for this guy, Marlowe Wax. Now, I love Eugene Asante and Chandler Martin, and they're two other linebackers that I'll be looking for at the deadline. And I know you got guys like Curtis Robinson and Luke Gifford. But I would, Curtis Robinson, I think, might get through waivers. Marlowe Wax probably will not. And Wax looks like a really exciting young linebacker. And if there's one area I'd love to see the Niners take a little bit of a risk at the cutdown is go outside your camp for one of these linebackers that really is playing. And Marlowe Wax is playing his butt off right now. And you can tell he's a terrific athlete, hits like a truck. Yes, he doesn't know the defense. You're going to have to teach him some things, but he'll be an asset right away on special teams. Watch this guy. He had a great preseason. They say all the roster projections say he is going to be one of the last cuts by the Chargers. Chargers are smart enough to know he's not going to make it to the practice squad for them. He's going to get cut. He's going to wind up somewhere else. So if the Niners have a player that the Chargers want, I would definitely pursue that. And, if not, I would offer a draft pick next year for Marlowe Wax. I think Marlowe Wax could be a really, really nice get. Physical, violent linebacker. You never have enough physical, violent linebackers. Robert Saleh, Gus Bradley, if you're watching this, man, Marlowe Wax. Get this guy in your squad. You will not regret the move of adding Marlowe Wax. I'd trade for him. Just call up Ortiz and Chargers and, just say, hey, look, this guy ain't going to pass through waivers. We want to jump the line. We'll add an extra backer to our roster if we have to, but this guy looks really, really good. And he's exactly the kind of player the Niners need to find at the deadline or at the cutdown. All right. We're also brought to you, as you can see in the top of the screen, by Claw Daddy Arcades. And they're a great follow on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades to find a location near you. Brand new locations opening in Capitola Mall and Visalia Mall later on this year. Thanks to them. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to all of you for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube,